Shalom, everyone. Shalom. I want to welcome everyone to King James Bible University Precept Mastery. And we're going to be actually taking off exactly where we was from last week. And before I have a couple of announcements, I know Deacon Micah will be bringing forth a teaching this afternoon, and for some this evening. Did your pastors lie to you about tithes? I believe that's going to be a very, very interesting teaching. And I promise you, he will be taking his time going through it, showing you every nook and cranny on if that is true. Or did they lie to you? So you get a chance. And hopefully you have the time that you go over there to OKC, King James Bible University, that's ran over there by Deacon Micah, to where you can catch that teaching. So we looking at, when we doing this teachings today, where we're still going through the book of Romans. But the main thing we have to remember is he's starting to get more and more direct as he's doing things, and he's doing these and making sure that we clearly getting what he's talking about. So we have to go to these scriptures. We have to go there and find out what Paul is talking about. So I want to invite your attention over to we're going to go back up, and I want to look up a little bit, and then we're going to move back down. We normally do that to where we can kind of get a recap from what happened last week, excuse me, to where we can bring us back up to speed. And we in verse 9, but I want to go up just a little bit. We're going to go up to verse 7. But Paul says something, and we're going to sit there and we're going to pay some attention to a few things that he said. He said, "What then? Israel have not attained that which he seek for." I'm just going to keep this part right here highlighted, to where every now and then you guys can look back up there and we can understand when we start having some issues. That's part of the problem. That is part of the problem. And the reason I say that is this. Many people claim they're Israel. They look like Israel, smell like Israel, walk like Israel, talk like Israel. But it still don't make them Israel. It just makes them a Hebrew. So, but many people going to claim Israel. And he says, but the election have obtained it. See, the election have obtained it. I want you to keep that in mind also. I'm going to change that one for that color. These two going to stay highlighted throughout the rest of this teaching. And it says, and the rest were blinded. And the rest were blinded. So we got to find out exactly what is going on in all this conversation that he's telling the people over there. We want to understand what's going on. And he says the particular thing when he gets into verse 8. He said, according as it is written. So he's comparing to what was already written. God have given them the spirit of slumber. Part of that we're going to get into, because we need to know what he's talking about. That spirit of slumber, it says, eyes that they shall not see, and ears that they should not hear, until this day. I don't care what you do, these things is not going to change. Because he's going to give them the spirit of slumber. So no matter what you do, they cannot see. No matter what you do, they cannot hear. This is part of a lot of stuff that goes on in people who do teachings, and some people will jump from church to church, church to church, and church to church, and they'll go church hopping, especially on Sundays. They'll go to one church and like to see the opening up and the music there, and then they jump out of that church and go to another church and say they being fed over there. This is what happens a lot when people get into these things. But the catch is, do they have that spirit of slumber? Because you have men who do this. Which brings us all the way down to verse 9. Verse 9, we're going to get some understanding of what's going on and how this actually plays out. Please make sure you write down a lot of this information here, as what we'll be doing later. We're going to be putting the precepts in the book of Romans, to where you can go back and do your own personal study and make sure you can see what's going on and you can catch if they cook in the books. It's the same way where people go back and they look at their CFOs and they people who's watching over the money, to go back and see if they cook in those books. But it says here, it says, and David said, let their table be made a snare, including a trap, including a stumbling block, including a recompense unto them. Now, he's told you this is already being compared, which was already written. Paul is comparing this statement above according to what was written, that God had given them the spirit of slumber, which is just you looking at being a drowsiness on what you'll see, according to the election. And have you found, as you see this, many people will look for, have you found salvation in a church building? Because many people will sit there and talk about their church. Oh, you need to go to my church. You need to do this. Have salvation you found there. See, men that tells you, they'll tell you salvation is in that church. That you go to that church building over there, that's salvation in there. But it's still saying, but according to who it is. Because the election, have I tamed it? Or have you obtained what you're seeking? David said this, and when we look at something, we're going to look at this in the same thing. We're going to look at Psalms. We're going to look at Psalms in 69. We're going to look at verse 22. He's saying David said it, so it's best to where we go back and see what David actually said that. And David said this in Psalms 69 and verse 22. He said, let their table become a snare before them, including that which should have been for their warfare, their welfare, let it become a trap. That's what David said. Paul is telling you and quoting what David said. Now, he changed it a little bit where he told the last part of the stumbling block and the recompense. He said it a little bit different on why he's putting this a certain way, because he's going to direct you another direction. And he's going to start honing in on something that we really need to see. In Psalms 89, and we're going to look at verse 40. And we want to sit there and we want to see here. And he says it a little bit different, but he's saying the identical thing for the stumbling block and the recompense. And he says this. David says that he says, thou hast broken down all his hedges, all his stumbling blocks, He's done this. And thou hast brought his strongholds to ruins. This is David. He's speaking of this, letting you clearly know what the Spirit of God has done. Clearly letting you know. Because many people, no matter what you do, is not going to crawl out of that building. I don't care what you do. They're going to stay in there as if, because they're going to hold on. It's the same thing if you will hold on to something with your dear life, because that is your value on what you believe you have. That church, that man that's in that building that's giving you whatever you feel you getting from him, you going to hold on to him with all your dear life. I don't care what he do, what he say, or what outcomes come from that. This is the problem. This is where a lot of people, and why he only taking so many out of every generation. For that simple fact, because many people are going to hold their salvation on men and buildings. So he had to blind them. It's just like you see them getting ready to take out some of these animals. You see them kind of get them to turn the other way. Then they put them down. So they lure them, but then for that same recompense, that same exchange, that same payment, that deed that was made unto them, we got to see how the Most High did this. The same thing with these men. Because we don't want to remove this. As we say in here, it says, Israel has not attained that which he seeketh for. See, not all Israel have got this. That's why I want you to mainly keep your eye on this over here. Don't take your eye off of this. It says, but the election have attained it, and the rest was blinded. Don't let this be also a stumbling block to you, because he's going to say something that's going to hurt many people if they sit there and they understand what Scripture is. Because he's saying this. We're going to look at verse 39. We're going to see how that plays out. It says, thou hast made void the covenant of thy servant. Thou hast profaned his crown by casting it to the ground. You can look at that. You can take it. You can flip it, script it, any kind of way you want. Because many people think they obtain salvation. It's telling you right here, it was made void. Because many people think, and they're going to these places, and not just in those places, you can see them anywhere. On YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook, you can see them anywhere where anyone can sit there and teach contrary to what's going on. Because same thing, a lot of people always want to sit there and tell you when they want to talk, everything that we should be talking about is all good. Everything's good. Everything. And they get you on that. You can go from church to church, building to building, man to man. And I promise you, majority of all of them we're gonna tell you always everything is good. And that's where the problem is. We can go from prophet to prophet, prophet to prophet in the book. And you show me where they talking 100% in their entire book. Everything is all good. You can't find it. I promise you won't find it. The main reason you won't find it is because it's not speaking of something that everything is all good. But you go hear people messages, everything is all good. You need to think about that. You truly need to think about every time you go to anybody's anything, they give you a low part, and then they drum it up, and then everything is all good. God can't wait to get you in there, because it's all, you done sit there and you done listen to this message, you done paid your money, and now everything is good. That's the problem. And it's nowhere in the scriptures that the way they said. They're picking and choosing verses to get you from the truth. So he may void the covenant with them. Could be some of us sitting right here. He may void that covenant. But we're going to see something. See, because you have many men going to tell you they have found this church. They have found this place. They have found this man. They have found this, whatever they found. And in that person, in that man, in that church, in that building, they have found salvation. And it don't talk about nothing. All it talks about is how everything gonna be when you get to heaven. This is our problem. They're gonna tell you what they even tell you how it has a thing set up on what you gonna do when you in heaven. How everything gonna be all good. These are the ones who have not attained what they seeketh. Because when you read and you study the scriptures, everything ain't all good. Because the Spirit of God have an ought with us. We have a problem. And we need to be trying to work on corrections, trying to work on parties. We need to work on getting ourselves right, besides trying to sit there and say we're good with God and he should be happy. Let's look at something. I want to show you something. In Isaiah chapter 56, we're going to pick it up at verse 10. And this is what the problem is, what Paul is talking about. It says, his watchmen are blind. Who? The ones who haven't obtained it. They were seeking it, but they ain't found it. They seek it, but it's not found. They're blind. Didn't he tell you they was blinded? They got the spirit of slumber. You see that other part. They had a spirit of slumber. They are all ignorant. See, people have a problem and they want to sit there and say, oh man, that's disrespectful. Okay, then you need to go talk to Christ. Because he said, I'm telling you, they are all, not some, all ignorant. But he got more to say. They're all dumb dogs. Every one of them. He's telling you right up front. They cannot bark, sleeping, lying down, loving to slumber, because that's what he put on them. They got the spirit of slumber on them. But I want to show you more so how they even act. Because this is what happens. Because when you got the spirit of slumber, you get real grumpy about a lot of stuff. You're going to get grumpy and you're going to act up. And it's telling you right here when you're looking at 1 Timothy chapter 6, so we're going to pick it up at verse 4. It says the reason he got that because he's proud. Knowing nothing, he got the spirit of slumber on him. He's ignorant. He's a dumb dog. But he's proud. Knowing nothing, but doting about questions and strife of words, wherefore cometh envy, strife, railings, evil submergings. He's a dumb dog. He's ignorant. But he's telling you, you come to this building, you can get it, but you come against this, you got a problem. Because what? It's going to come strife, evil submersions. But it goes on a little bit more. Because they're going to tell you the same thing here. It's perverse disputings, men of corrupt disputings, men of corrupt minds, destitute of the truth, supposing that gain, we got a problem again, is godliness. Gain is godliness. Do you know how many people, how many preachers they done took from rags to riches? Tons of people. They took them from rags to billionaires. Preachers. Saying that God don't want you broke. Christ came, though he was rich, he became poor that you may be rich through him. When you dealing with a dumb dog, ignorant, and they for supposing that gain is godliness, it tells you right there, from such withdraw thyself. From such withdraw thyself. See, when you saying a dumb dog, you're dealing with something that's nothing more than a hyena. They don't bark, because it's telling you right there, they cannot bark. So they got these laughing sounds. They got these laughing sounds. Because they hyenas. This is what they're about. Actually, I'm going to show you something. I want to pull something up real quick. Yeah. Show you a little bit more. We're going to go to Ecclesiasticus chapter 13. Actually, I want to copy that. We're going to go to chapter 13. We're going to pick it up at verse 18. And it says this. It says, what agreement is there between the hyena and a dog? What agreement is there between a hyena and a dog? He's asking you that question, a question that every person needs to personally answer within themselves. What agreement do a hyena have with a dog? In fact, including, can you tell him the same thing? Because you're going to ask some more. Including what peace between the rich and the poor? What agreement is that between the rich and the poor? See, because you have some, when they become rich, they don't have no need of you. They're going to change the way they talk to you. They're going to change all the ways that they talk to you. So these same dumb dogs, as he said, he made them and gave them the spirit of sleep. But no matter what, people still is going to crawl up inside these places. That is a promise. Because this is what they do. And it doesn't matter. Because they're going to sit there and they're going to defend that man with everything. When we look here at Ephesians chapter 4, picking up at verse 18, it says this, and makes it a little bit more understanding what we can see. It says, having the understanding darkened, because they sleep, being alienated from the life of God through ignorance that is in them because of their blindness in their hearts. This is clear. It's not complex. It's not complicated. Anything about what they're doing. The reason why this is always going to go through, because I'm going to show you people, no matter what, they're going to defend that man. And these people, As it's telling you, it's constantly telling you. What is there between rich and poor? What peace? Because once they become rich, they get rid of you, because they're going to also move out of your neighborhood. But I'm going to show you. We're gonna look at this all together. We want to see something. Jeremiah chapter 2. Pick it up at verse 13. And it's going to say some things that's hard for some people to take. But the main thing is we got to look at this all together. It says, "For my people have committed two evils." They committed two evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of waters, because we don't want to get no knowledge. No matter what, when people can hear sound doctrine and it's sitting there telling you what you need to be doing and showing it to you in scripture, people don't want that sound doctrine. Why? Because they want to defend what is not of the truth, or they want to bend the scriptures to bend towards them. It says, "And hewn them out cisterns," broken cisterns. Because once you're broken, that's what happened to a lot of people. They're broken. Meaning, so when you try to put water in there, they can't hold no knowledge. They can study, and keep on studying. They're broken. Cannot hold no water. This is why you see them. They be in the pulpits and they doing all these things. You have people out there where they'll just teach all over the place. They'll travel all over the world. And they'll do this thing. But they're broken cisterns. Can't hold no knowledge. And then when you have a problem or you trying to get something straight, going to cause strife and everything else. And see, and the main thing what these men call themselves is what? They call themselves shepherds, lords, any other thing understanding, and they don't have no common sense. So we need to look at this, because they're going to call themselves shepherds. People comes and they'll tell you they're shepherds, and they'll tell you shepherds is all in the Bible. And we're going to be looking at that, because Paul is going to get into that. Let's go down a little bit more. Let's go down to verse 10. And it says, "Let their eyes be darkened, that they may not see, including bow down their backs always." Now, he's telling you something that's really serious, because however their eyes is the understanding is darkened, and when they bow down backwards is returning to from which they came. That's all he's saying. But these men have no understanding and no knowledge, and it was darkened, still being who they are. So, but people have taken these men, and they made them idols. Not they formed something out of clay or out of what they did. They made these physical men idols, shepherds. I'm gonna show you that. We got to look at all that together. Through ignorance. Take a closer look at these men here. Because we want to understand how this happened, and how this understanding and all this life is, and why they are dark in that way. We're going to go over here to Zechariah. We're going to go to Zechariah, and we want to take out something. Let me see. We're going to go to Zechariah chapter 11. We're going to pick it up at verse 7. And we're going to see how this all works out. It says, "And I will feed the flock of slaughter, O poor of the flock, and took me 2 staffs, and called one beauty, and the other I called bands, and feed the flock." But you want to see something. Your souls will afford me, but we got to see what's going on there. So we're going to drop down a little bit. And I want to make sure you can see this all on one. It says, because to the idle shepherd, the idle shepherd. See, people sit there and they talk about these men, and they sit there and they say, "Oh, these are shepherds." No, he's an idol. Let me do this here. He's an idle shepherd that leaveth the flock. The sword shall be upon his arm, and upon his right eye, his understanding, his arm shall be clean dried up, and his right eye shall utterly be darkened. But this is who everybody looks to. This is one everybody looks to. This idle shepherd. This is who everybody look. Actually, I want to tell you what. Let's do this. Let's put these two side by side so we can see it. So we can see it side by side to where we can't get around it. The easiest way to do it. We're going to look at verse 2 in chapter 2, verse 4 in 2 Thessalonians. I want to make that bigger to where I can get it. Okay, right here, verse 2, chapter 2, verse 4. It tells you this. It says, this idle shepherd right there who leaveth the flock is telling you exactly who he is, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God or that is worship, so that he as God sitteth in the temple you of God, showing himself that he is God. Idle shepherd. Because that's who you look to. And God, you got to remember, God don't mean nothing but guide. That's what he is. Because he calling himself your guide, because he said he's going to guide you to salvation. You explain that to yourself. So it's saying this. If you sitting there and you done gave this idle shepherd, because you're going to follow the flock. The flock going to follow him. I don't care what you do. Your end result is where he's going. I don't care what you do. People go, well, I'm going to follow him. I'm going to go with him. No. You need somebody to tell you what you need to do right. And you go check it and you get right with God. You don't get right with that man. You get right with God. The man don't have anything to do for you. He can't get you to anywhere that you need to go in eternity. He can't even get you to the door. Because he don't know where it is. Only one know where it is, Christ. But men that say they shepherds, you got people say this is my shepherd. He's an idol. Because that's who you're looking to. That's an idol. You'll pay tribute to this man. You have pastor's appreciation for this man. Whatever this man say, you do. Whatever he wants you to get into, you do. These men is putting you the same way in that stumbling world to where you'll never find your way out. And he'll leave his flock. Because it's telling you right there, he'll leave them. He don't have no problem leaving the flock. He don't have not one single problem leaving you to do something else. If it was 1,500 sheep, I want to just put this all in perspective. It was 100 sheep. And you say it's 15,000. One walk away, and you know it's wolves and coyotes and lions and tigers and bears in the wilderness. Would you leave them to go after that one? That's a question. What will you do? See, because most people will sit there and they're going to lie to themselves. They say, no, I'm going to go after the one. Yeah, okay. Okay. See, you're not lying to me. You're lying to Christ. So be honest with yourself. See, that's why things like that, I don't ask people to put yes or no and stuff, because I don't want you can lie to me all day, but don't be lying to Christ. So the question becomes, let's say you had 15 sheep, one walk away, and you know you in a dangerous place. Would you go after that one and leave the 14? That's a question for you to think about, for you to meditate on, and see what you want to do. Actually, let's go here. I'm gonna show you something. Let's go here. We're gonna go something. We're gonna look at this all together. We're gonna go to Matthew chapter 18, because Christ actually asked this same question. So he asked it. I'm getting ready to use it. I'm getting ready to use that right there. He's asking this: how think ye? So how think you? You. I'm talking to you, the one that's sitting right here watching. I'm talking to you. If a man, so it's talking about man or woman, have 100 sheep, including, he getting ready to throw a rock in here. He getting ready to throw a little stumbling block in here, including. See, you see that stumbling block? Hold up a second. Hold up. You have 100, but hold up 1 second. Including with this 100 sheep, one of them going astray. One of them walks off. You think about that. You have 100 sheep, and you're in a secluded place. Actually, I'm gonna tell you what. Let me make this even better. Let me make this even better. I'm gonna show you, because one say one place, well, we're gonna make one say the other, and we're gonna tie all this in. Because I want you to think about it. We're gonna go to Luke chapter 15, verse 4. I'm gonna blow this one up to make sure, because now you're gonna see exactly where they are. It says, "What man of you having 100 sheep, and if he lose one of them, do not leave the 99 in the wilderness, lions and tigers and bears? Do you do this? Will you leave 99 in the forest, in the wilderness, and go after one, and you know the other 99 can be taken?" That's a question. Because he said he go after that which is lost until he finds it. He ain't saying, hey, I'm gonna just go look 15 yards over here and look out there to see is he there. And if I don't see him, I'm just gonna walk back, because I got 99 here. Or I'm gonna sit there and just call for him. Or I'm gonna try to get on my cell phone. We can use it we can move it all the way up to today's time. We're gonna move it up to year 21. You call your homeboy, or you call your husband, or you call your wife, hey, come watch these sheep, watch these 99 sheep, and I got to go look for this one that was lost. We'll move it up to that. We're gonna put it all the way up to there. am I gonna go look for it? Because this ain't going into the mountains and seeking that which is gone. But guess what? I just keep saying it's in the wilderness. So woe to the shepherd, this idle shepherd that leaveth the flock. But we got a catchphrase here. See, the shepherd, he only leaves certain things. See, he ain't tied to this. Don't try to mix yourself up into this, because if you ain't paying, he ain't following. He ain't trying to look for you, because he's an idle shepherd, and it's telling you, shall be upon his arm, his right eye. His arm shall be clean, dried up, and his right eye should be utterly darkened. So if that one goes, all right, lions and tigers and bears. Lions and tigers and bears. Because he's making more money over here. He's greedy. He's greedy. He wants his money. So my thing is this. Don't sit there and put this idle shepherd in that position. We're going to sit there and say, that's you. That's you. You done walked off. You walked off. From the 99, is he coming for you? That's the question. Many will get mixed with these idle shepherds. Many people did. And them that's going far off the flock, and when they stray, you got to remember one thing. They went 99. So you think they're going to go chase dear little you, and they got 99. You answer that question. See, not only that, you put yourself even in the position of an idle shepherd. If you have 99 people right there, and each one of them people giving you $100 a week, the one that walked off only was given $1 a week. And you know who it was. Would you leave that 99 that's given each one given $100 a week and go after the one that's given $1? I want you to think about that, because this is all mixed into this. But you got to remember, they greedy dogs. They greedy dogs. And they're shepherds that cannot understand. So when they look their own way, they're going to do their own thing. When they look their own way, they do their own thing. This is the problem with many churches. See, if you give money, and you give big money, and that one shepherd, this idle shepherd, tell you what you do. You got some with some of these big time actors and singers in some of these church buildings. You have one of them big time guys giving $1 million or something million plus every month, and everything goes haywire, and he walks away, and next month they don't see that $1.5 million coming from that person. And he searches for him, gets him on the phone. Told you we're in the year 21 right now. They said, well, what do we got to do now? We don't have people back there. Okay, we gonna keep it in the year 21. You got a cell phone. You call him up. He or she. What's the problem? Yeah, I'm just having a few issues. What's the issues? Well, it's a lot of issues I'm having. But you're the biggest giver of all the 99. The 99 only gives $20, $30, $40. But this one gives $1.5 million. Now he's greedy. Now he's going to go after that one sheep because it's worth more than 99. But if the 99 is the way it's set up, those are the ones that's set up. Do we go after that one? And it's in the wilderness, so you know it's dangerous. Because if you don't go after him, the wilderness will overtake him being alone. Because if not, the 100 sheep will go astray for themselves. Because astray, to look at this all together, astray is letting you know they done wandered off. They done erred. Or they can even be deceived. We don't know. But what is it? Because it's telling you this right here. Is that the truth? Because he said gone astray. Will you not go into the wilderness, leaving the 99 there? And go after that one. But you have an idle shepherds, people calling themselves shepherds. These are not shepherds of God. This is the problem. These are nowhere close to shepherds of God. In fact, we're going to look at something that we're going to stay on this 99. Ezekiel chapter 34. And I'm going to tell you, this is Ezekiel 34 is kryptonite to a lot of these idol shepherds. Kryptonite to them. But it says this. It says, Son of man, prophesied against the shepherd. You see this plural of Israel. You see this plural. Shepherds. You see it's plural. But people will sit there and say shepherds in the Bible is always speaking particularly about these men leading people. And they kind of try to put themselves in those three matriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Stupidity. Ignorant. But it's telling you to prophesy against these idol shepherds. Prophesy and say to them. So, Son of Man, he has a message for them. Same as we recording this, and this message is to them. This is a message to them. Also a message to many of you on what Paul is getting into. Because he said, let their eyes be darkened that they may not see. But watch this. Thus said the Spirit of God unto the shepherds. You see, he's talking to one of them. Because be to the shepherds of Israel. See, because you got many that do want to be these idol shepherds. Y'all, you see, and the problem is people, well, yeah, they doing this, they doing that. No, well, guess what? We put them up there. We put them up there. We the one gave them the money. We the one put them in those houses. We the one made them rich and famous. We did that. So get off your high horse. We did that. And then when we woke up, then we changed. But guess what? We was part of putting them there? Yes, we did. So you get off of that. But it says this. Because of these shepherds of Israel that do feed themselves. See, they feed themselves. You can sit there and say, oh, my pastor. No, he's feeding himself. He's feeding himself. And he says, should not the shepherds, you see, you still stand plural, feed the flocks? Because he got sheep on every hill. On every hill he got sheep. Shouldn't they feed the flocks? Plural. Plural. But he's telling you, he's against them. You see right here, Christ is not calling them his shepherds. But people tell you we're shepherds, and they'll go run and grab stuff like this. But you see, he's telling you, you speak against these, because most people don't even get where it's talking about an idol shepherd. When you see idol shepherd, it's somebody you done put up as an idol, and you calling him your shepherd. And he says, I'm the good shepherd. If he's the good shepherd and the only good shepherd in the Bible, every other shepherd that you seeing through there, that you seeing what they talking about here, you see it's a problem. But people still sit there and say, no, that's my pastor. That's my shepherd. That is my shepherd. And they'll run right up in that building. Slaughterhouse. But he goes on more. He says some more. He said, ye eat the fat, and ye clothe you with wool. Ye kill them that are fed, but ye feed not the flock. As he said, why? They dumb. They ignorant. We just ran into all this. They're dumb, they're ignorant, they're dumb dogs. They cannot understand. But I promise you, people will sit there and say, that's not my pastor. That's not my shepherd. My shepherd is wise. He's telling you right here. Any man walking the face of this earth and he opens his mouth and says he's a shepherd, you got a fool. If he's a shepherd and got flocks out there, he's a farmer or something, okay, I get it. But he's sitting there saying he's a shepherd and he talking about he's over people being a shepherd, then you got a fool. I don't care who he is. Might be your husband, might be your daddy, might be your granddaddy, might be your cousin, might be your friend. A fool's a fool. He's ignorant. He's a dumb dog that cannot understand. And he's telling you right up front here, they don't feed the flock. That's why you see people, they'll come back and, ooh, you should have heard him. You should have heard him. Oh, so what did he teach you? Oh, girl, I can't tell you. Girl, you had to have been there. Didn't have nothing to talk about. And that's all they hopping up and down. A guy on the piano playing all this music and everything's going. You got all this confusion noise happening. And people, oh boy, they get up and they jumping up and down, and all of a sudden all the hells break loose and everything going on. And people, oh man, this was really good. Yeah. Good doing what? Good doing what? The disease have ye not strengthened, neither have ye healed that which was sick, neither have ye bound up that which was broken, neither have ye brought again that which was driven away, because you've driven us away. You can go look at this in Genesis. Neither have ye sought that which was lost, but with force, including with cruelty, have you ruled them. Telling you right up front. Right up front, telling you. The whole understanding is darkened. And they'll sit there saying, we your leaders, we got to run it this way. Just shut up and give us the money. Shut up and just give us the money. You had a pastor a couple of years ago. He sent out letters to all the members of that church, letting them know what they owe in tithes. It actually made the news. Sent it to them, what they owed in tithes. To each member. You came up short. I'm the hit man for God. You done came up this short, and you need to pay. God scattered them, in what he did when he scattered them. He said, there, build ye houses, and these so-called shepherds scattered them with all these false doctrines and becoming the bread. And so now we're bread to all these beasts. Like them being like lions and tigers and bears. Evil men in the field. Evil men in the field. But he goes on a little bit more. He said that they were scattered because there is no shepherd, exactly the point, and they became meat to all the beasts of the field when they were scattered. Exactly the point. Exactly the point. So now they out there, and you got people, you got a person just posted yesterday on the Esau and Jacob, sitting there saying they are spaceships. Spaceships. That's why the Air Force cannot catch them. But you got people teach that doctrine. You have people teach that type of doctrine. You had another one this morning put in there, animals and everything talk back then. You have to understand that she really spoke to an actual snake. It's actually in there. Their understanding was darkened. But people will sit and listen to stuff. I don't know what to say here, because it becomes so crazy. And you talk to people, so when they sit there and they seeing stuff that can get them right or get them correct, there's I want to hear some uplift. No, you need to get right. Have you ever seen a drug addict go to a rehab, and the rehab, all they do is party? Or do they got to work to get off of, to become clean on what they're addicted to? You get down here and he tell you this, and same thing. It says my sheep, but people tell you he's the shepherd, so they're his sheep. Idle shepherd. It says wander through all the mountains and upon every high hill. Yea, my flock was scattered upon all the face of the earth, and none did search or seek after them. It's so crazy. And we go and run into these places where these men is into this. Where these men is really into this. So this is the part of the problem. This is part of the problem. When we look at verse 7. It says, for that reason, therefore, ye shepherds. You see, it's still plural. Hear the word of the Spirit of God. So we want you to hear something. And we want to understand what he's bringing to us. And he's very serious about what's going on here. He says, as I live, and you know he live forever, saith the Spirit of thy God, surely because my flock became prey. See, he has a problem. Including my flock became meat to every beast of the field. Now we know why you got these churches all over the place. Because you got all these evil men, all these beasts everywhere. You got women sitting there, ooh, I didn't know it had that kind of money in it. Guess what? The first thing they do, they want to put up a church. See the man, ooh, dang, I didn't know they making money. You know, tell you what? I'm making $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 here. And I have a gift to hype people up. And I can make $300,000 over there. I'm going to retire here and I'm going to go work over here. And I only had to really work once a week. Well, I'm over here, I'm working 6 days a week. Because there was no shepherd. Neither did my shepherds search for my flock. You see right here. So the main thing is he's putting something and flipping it on the other side. Because you have some men calling themselves his shepherds. Neither did my shepherd search for my flock. You have many people who going to call themselves idol shepherds and they saying they teaching for God. So when you want to claim that, he's telling you right here, right up front, neither did my shepherds who say that they teaching for God search for his flock. He got you both ways. You got the ones out there greedy. You got the ones out there saying we teaching God's word. He's telling you right up front. They call themselves this house of God. Okay. They're not even searching for you. He got you both ways. People, well, no, they over there teaching false doctrine. I don't deal with them. I don't deal with this. My shepherd over here. Neither did my shepherds search for my flock. But he's going to tell you what they did. But the shepherds fed themselves. That's why you pastor appreciation. Oh, this my shepherd. Oh, this my shepherd. Ooh, my shepherd and my shepherd. They fed themselves. And fed not my flock. So, he got something for them too. He tells you this right clear as day. He said, for that reason, O ye shepherds. Now, even them that knowing they out for themselves, and them that calling themselves teachers of God, these shepherds, then they want to call themselves and label themselves as shepherds, bishops, and put themselves at the top. Apostles, put themselves at the top. Prophets, put themselves at the top. He telling you this. Hear the words of the Spirit of God. He want to tell you something. He want to tell you something. You might not like what he's going to tell you though, but he's going to tell it to you. He put it on my plate to give it out, and I'm going to give it to you. He said, thus said the Spirit of God, remember what? Don't worry, I'm going to tell it to you. I am against the shepherds. Figure that out. He's telling you right, shepherds. Okay, you know when you see apostrophe, if it was apostrophe after the D, and then it said apostrophe S, he would have been speaking about a Pacific shepherds. He would have been speaking about Pacific shepherds. So that's why when you see God's in his capital G, O-D, apostrophe S, is telling you it's only to him. It's pertaining to whatever that one he's talking about. But when you see shepherds and there's no apostrophe, anything or anybody calling themselves a shepherd is included in that comment. That's what that's saying. That's what that means. So you got them false ones as well with the ones saying they preaching for God. He's telling you he's against you. But he goes on more. He said, I will require my flock at their hand, and cause them to cease from feeding the flock. Neither shall the shepherds, all of them included again, feed themselves anymore. I will deliver my flock from their mouth. You see what he said, from their mouth. Feed themselves, telling you these lies. And you pouring out your pockets, that they may not be meat for them. But this is all going somewhere. This is all going somewhere. Let's go one place, and we want to come back. We want to go one place, and we want to come back. I want to grab this one. Actually, let me grab this one, and I'm going to come back. I'll grab this one and come back. We're going to go to Matthew chapter 25. 25 and picking it up at 26. 25 and pick it up at 26. And he's making something because he's against all the shepherds. And that's why I wanted to do it this way. But he's against all the shepherds. So I thought these were shepherds, and they're not. But including, he's requiring something of them, meaning that he don't have these none, but these are wicked. That's why you see Matthew chapter 25, verse 26. The Lord answered and said unto him, thou wicked, slothful servant. Thou reapest, thou know thou reap where I sowed not, and I gather where I have not strawed. But you feeding yourself. Watch this. He goes on more, because they're going to fleece the flock. I thought, therefore, to put my money to the exchangers. I'm like, what did this? Because guess what? You fleecing the flock, including then my at my coming, I should have received my own with usury. Because you're taxing the people. Usury meaning you charging interest. He should have did. I should have received my own with usury. Okay, so he should have been. He's saying God should have been charging them. But I promise you, people are still going to give these churches money. Well, how are they going to survive? Okay, he didn't tell them to put them up. So he tells you this. He tells you this. Take for that reason a talent from him and give it unto him which have 10 talents. And for everyone, here's the hard part. For everyone that have, it shall be given. And he should have an abundance. He should have an abundance. But from him that have not shall be taken. Because some think they have it, and they don't. Some think they have the knowledge, and they still don't. But let's say they do have it. So he says, but from him that have not shall be taken away, even that which he have. So even if you had the knowledge, he's taking that too. Why? He's going to tell you why. And cast ye the unprofitable servant, that's the problem, you unprofitable, into the other darkness, where there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Pretty clear. Pretty clear. This is the problem. Because many people will sit there and they'll feel that they have the knowledge or they have whatever they have. And now I can do whatever I want to do. And you'll do things that's contrary. You're sitting there like, man, I didn't know I could make this kind of money. I'm making really good money doing this. And you had a little bit of knowledge. He takes that. Because it's going to be darkened. So he says this in verse 11. He says, for thus said the Spirit of God, remember, I, even I, will both search my sheep and seek them out. And he's going to do this with these servants that he's going to put his Spirit on. See, this is what he's getting to. So watch what happens here. Let's see what goes on here. It says, comparing a shepherd seeketh out his flock in the day that he is coming his sheep that are scattered. I will seek out my sheep. I will deliver them out of all places where they have been scattered in the cloudy and dark day. He's going to do it. Why? He don't need no shepherd. He just needs servants. Let me come down from heaven. You present your body as a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto me. And you had his body prepared for me, because I need to find my sheep. So you do this for me, and I'm going to go search for them through you. That's all he's saying. I'm going to find my sheep, because he's telling you this right up front. I'm going to find them. And once I find them, I'll be all right. See, because right now, we have to remember exactly where they are. Let's look at this. Let's look at something. We're going to go right back to something. We're going to go right back to 1 Timothy. We're going to pick it up at chapter 6. Because he got to search for his flock. You got to remember, he's going astray. Don't drop that. Keep that in mind. So we're going to go to chapter 6 and pick it up at verse 4. Same thing. So he is in a place where this man is proud, knowing nothing, but doubting about questions and strife and words, wherefore cometh envy and strife and railings and even submersion, perverse disputings of men, corrupt minds, and destitute of the truth, supposing that gain is godliness. Boom. Hit you right there in the middle of the eyes. From such withdraw thyself. Dang, from such withdraw thyself. From such withdraw thyself. From such withdraw thyself. So from such goes astray. Bingo. He goes astray. So what happens in the complete understanding on what's happening here, this sheep is amongst 99. And he finds out that this guy is proud, knowing nothing, doubting about questions, strife, words, cometh envy, all these things. He'll even rail on you when you're not doing certain things that he wants you to do. And you don't have nothing to do with it. Destitute of the truth, supposing that gain is godliness. So you sitting there, man, this dude is crazy. This dude sitting there telling us to give $1,000, $2,000, $500, $400, $200 a week. Dang, this is not the truth. So he said, present your body as a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God, and I'm going to come look for you. I'm going to rest in that body. You're going to be the temple of God, and I'm going to go look for my sheep through you. So what happens with that sheep? What happened with that one sheep that gone astray? See, we can't forget him. He's gone astray, but he was sitting in there with this idle shepherd. We need to see what's going on here. But watch this. We're going to look at this. We're going to take our time and go through this. So as we look at Proverbs, and we're going to go to chapter 21, picking it up at verse 19. And it says this clear as day. Clear as day. It says, it is better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious and in an angry woman, meaning angry spirit. So this sheep hearing this stuff. Y'all gonna do this. Y'all gonna do that. Y'all gotta do this. We need to raise this money. We need to rally for this. We need to rally for that. We need money for this. We need money for that. That's all you hear. You say, man, I'm getting up out of here. I'm getting up out of here. See, we got to remember, if God is your guide, you're going to get up out that building. So what it's saying here in the full understanding of what's going on with these contentious and angry spirits. Christ is not seeking those 99. He actually going in the building. That's all he was doing. And the 99 stays there because they self-righteous. That one leaves and trying to find his way home. It's just like if your mama told you to be in before the street lights come on, or I'm going to come out there and whoop your butt, and you amongst 99 of your friends, and you see your mama, and she's calling for you, you going to do everything you can to sneak and get around her and try to find your way home, and could get lost. You just look at it that way. Because it's better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious and very angry woman. That's the truth. So we want to look at something. So when you see this as what Paul is doing, we're going to go to Luke chapter 15, picking up at verse 18. This is us. Or this is anyone that's trying to get right with God. We done sat in this church. We done sat in this place. We done sat in this place with this idle shepherd whose eyes is darkened, who's destitute of the truth. And we done seen all this stuff done gone crazy. Then the first thing come out of our mouth is what? I will arise and go to my father, and I will say unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven, including before thee. That's the catch. Sitting up under these idle shepherds, looking at them as they are gods. So he wants the body from us. Because he didn't hire shepherds, he hired servants. So Christ want to use our body under the agreement. So we have to look at the agreement that we made with Christ. Because we made an agreement with him. But most people forgot the agreement. For him to rest in our body to where he can go and look for his sheep. We just witnessing what he's doing, but we have absolutely nothing to do with it. We just being obedient based under the covenant. But let's look at something. I'm going to show you something. So we made an agreement with Christ. And most people don't know that we did, but I'm going to show you we made an agreement with him. We're going to go to Matthew chapter 20. We're going to pick it up. Actually, it's already highlighted. I'm going to change it to yellow. And it says, and when he agreed with the laborers, we're not shepherds, we laborers, we servants, for a penny a day. That's what we agreed on. That's our agreement right there. He sent them into his vineyard. We went into the field. That's it. That's our agreement. 1 penny, not $100,000 a year for him to use your body to go and search for his sheep. Not $1 million a year to use your body to go search for his sheep. That ain't the agreement. The agreement is a penny. The agreement is a penny. To go into the vineyard, into this wilderness, and find the sheep. That's what he said, and he's getting them from the idle shepherds. In fact, he's telling you even more so. So now we know the agreement is 1 penny. I want you to clearly get this. This is the agreed. We agreed with 1 penny to where we're going to sit there. He's going to rest in us, and he's going to search for his sheep through you. So you don't have nothing to do with it. Because he's using your body. You trading life for life. Okay, let me use this life, and I'm going to go search for my sheep. And then in turn, when I return, I'm going to take you with me, and I'm going to give you eternal life. I'm going to take you back with me. Dang, for a penny? Shoot, I'm in. I'm in. But I need this life. See, I need this life. Oh, I'm in. You gonna give me eternal life? Oh, I'm in. But I'm gonna search for my sheep through you. You don't have nothing to do with anything, so you can't put yourself up on some pedestal being an idle shepherd. You still in. Yeah, I'm in. You ain't gonna get paid. You ain't gonna be getting paid no $1 million and all this stuff like these other ones. Are you still in? Yeah, I'm in. Okay, I'm going to give you a penny a day to search for my sheep. Because I'm going to search for them. I'm just going to be going through you, and my spirit is going to be resting on you, and I'm just going to find my sheep through you that don't have nothing to do with it. Just like going using a bobcat to clean out the area. You didn't clean it out. You were just in the bobcat cleaning it out. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I'm going to give you a penny. Okay. I'm going to agree. See, many people have made that kind of agreement. And many didn't. Because many broke that covenant. So he's telling you this all the way through. So we're going to go over here to Matthew chapter 10. And we're going to see what he wants us to do. We're going to go to chapter 10 and we're going to pick it up at verse 6. So once he rested in you, he said, but go rather to the lost sheep of Israel, to the house of Israel. You go to them. And what I'm going to do through you, I'm going to find my lost sheep. And I'm going to tell them something. As you going to be seeing this happening, as ye go, preach saying the kingdom of heaven is at hand. That's what I want you to do. That's what I want you to do. So many of us see why he was seeking them. But now we got to find out where they were. See, that's the problem. See, we got to be in before the street lights on. So he had to go to these sheep, and they was lost, and they was all crowded up together. So we need to see where they were. But we're going to find out where they were. That's why I say people don't like Ezekiel a lot of stuff. So we got to see where they were on what Paul's talking about. In Ezekiel chapter 16, picking up at verse 24. Verse 24. And he tells us this right here. He tells us this. He says, thou hast built unto thee an eminent place, and thou hast made thee a high place on every street. Okay. So the only thing that we know on every street, I can go down to my areas I grew up in. It's a church on every corner. That's what they done. So he's telling me they're on every street. In fact, he did this. Thou hast built a high place on every head of the way, on every street corner, and thou hast made thy beauty, which is the laws of God, to be abhorred, to be hated. That's why when you go in these churches, when you hear them preaching, and they calling themselves teaching, that's why everything coming out of their mouth is good. That's why they're telling you, God came down, fulfilled his own law, because we could not do it. And now we can do whatever the world we want to do. That's why he said that. That's why he said that. Because everything is all good. It's all good. Including open thy feet, thy desires, to everyone that passes by, including multiply thy whoredom. The desires are what? I want to be rich. So you tell me. Remember, we're supposed to just go into these whorehouses, into these slaughterhouses, let them know, hey, kingdom of God is at hand. but he's going to do it. We ain't doing anything. So it's more like what I just said. You the bobcat, you the backhoe, you the whatever that truck is. He's in you, and you just taking him where he wants to go because he is the driver. You don't do anything. And he's going in these whorehouses, these slaughterhouses, and he's looking for a sheep. Preaching the kingdom of God is at hand. So remember the 99 sheep he left. Remember, see, don't forget about them. See, some people don't forgot about them already. Do not forget about them. He says this. I'm going to show you something. Let me show you something about the 99. I'm going to show you something about the 99. In Mark chapter 2, and picking up at verse 17, he said this. The 99, he said, and when he heard it, he said to them, that they are whole and have no need of a physician. Who? 99. They don't have no need of a physician. But he going to tell you something that's really clear. But they are sick. They still sick, but they don't know they sick. They righteous, but they don't know they not righteous. Because he said, I came to call the righteous. I came not to call the righteous, but sinners to remembrance. This is what he did. You're sick, but you don't know you're sick. It's right there in front of you. The 99 have no need of a physician, meaning a physician, just talking about a healer, someone, who can heal you, can tell you what you were doing. But those 99 sheep were self-righteous. Christ didn't come for them. He didn't come for them. Let's look at it a little bit more. I want to look at it a little bit more. Look at it a little bit more. Luke chapter 15, verse 7. This piece of text that Christ spoke, he tells you this. I say unto you, that likewise joy shall be in heaven over one sinner that remembereth, that one that gone astray and now trying to get right, than more than 99 just persons that need no repentance because they feel they don't need it. It's right up front. He's right up front. But it goes on more. It goes on more. We got to get down to verse 12. You got to get to verse 12 because verse 12 just tells a lot more even to it. So Paul says this, and he let you know. We're just getting the backdrops and we're just pulling it up. But it says this. He says, I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid. But rather, through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles. See, but this again, where people get it all mixed up. They're Gentiles. That ain't what he said. See, he's telling you clearly that we were acting like Gentiles. But people would sit there with us. See, now he just opened it up, just on that alone. He just opened it up. No, it is not, because Paul talking in the law. He just opened it up to everybody. No, he didn't. He said salvation has come to the Gentiles, but he did this for to provoke them to jealousy. So I want to show you to make sure we all clear here on what he's doing. 1 Corinthians, picking up at chapter 12, looking at verse 2. Because he tells you this. He says, know ye not that ye were Gentiles carried away unto these dumb idols? Oh, to those idol shepherds? even as you was led. You know you was taking it. You know you was taking it down. Did you know that? So he said, I'm gonna move you guys to jealousy. He had to move you guys to jealousy. He actually said this. He actually telling you this. We're gonna see Christ actually talking about it. He actually talking about it. In Deuteronomy chapter 32, picking it up at verse 21. And I'm going to make sure I want to get this all on one sheet. Actually, I might have to put this slower. Still ain't got it all. Yep, still ain't got it all. Dang. Okay, but I had to pull it over. Okay, it says here, he says, they have moved me to jealousy, that which is not God. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities, and I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. I will provoke them to anger with the foolish nation. He's going to provoke you to jealousy doing that. He's going to provoke you to jealousy doing this. This is the thing that's going on right now, all the time, every day. Paul was telling you this from the start, that the blind don't see, but the ones that woke up, they're getting jealous. Israel has provoked Christ to anger, to show us what we were doing, chasing these other gods. So when he scattered us, he didn't scatter us to tell us what we were not to be doing, but he told us strictly what to be doing. I want you to keep that understanding. Actually, let's do this. Let's do this. We're gonna pour this. We're gonna pour this. We're gonna look at Jeremiah, picking it up at chapter 9. And we're gonna visit verse 16. And he says this. He's telling you right up front, because he's gonna provoke us to jealousy. You already see it with a foolish nation. So he says, I will scatter them among the heathen, whom neither they nor their fathers have known. He said he was going to do this. And it's done. Not he's going to do it, he's done it. Including I will send a sword after them till I have consumed them. That's why you see a lot of us keep dying off by the millions and millions. But he told us to do something, and we still don't have common sense. He told us to do something, we don't have common sense. And he's going to prove the point right here. We're going to go to Jeremiah chapter 29, and he told us something to do. Why we going to get sent there, but you need to be doing something. He said there, build ye houses and dwell in them. Plant gardens and eat the fruit of them. See, that's what he said to do. He says, take ye wives and beget sons and daughters, and take wives for your sons, and give your daughters to husbands, that ye may bear sons and daughters, that ye may increase there and not diminish. But same thing, what we do. We mix like it's unreal. We mix like it's crazy. And the first thing we do, we get mixed up in our feelings. We get mixed up in feelings. So since we kind of so mixed up in feelings, oh no, I can talk to this person, or I can do this. Whoever I want to talk to, I talk to. Okay, then you do that. Because you're not one of them he was looking for. See, you think you obtain what you're seeking for, but you didn't obtain it. That's why I said, don't take your eye off. Don't take your eye off of this over here. Don't take your eye off of this one. Don't take your eye off of that. Because you think you obtained it, but you didn't. Because he don't change. So he had to do this to catch you up. Because he want to see who is being a whore amongst the nation. And this is why he did what he did. Ezekiel chapter 5, and picking it up at verse 12. A third part of these shall die with pestilence. I'm only pausing for effect. I'm only pausing for an effect. A third part shall die with pestilence. Can be diseases, sickness, of any kind of death. He said he's going to do this. A third part is going to die this way, including with the famine. They shall be consumed in the midst of thee. Many of them going to be seeing a famine amongst us right now. That's why you have a lot of us can be in one part of a country and food everywhere. You can go to another part of a country and you can't even comprehend it. It's like, man, we throw more food away than they probably can even consume. He says right here. They're going to fall. Some going to fall by famine, by hunger. You have people in other countries. You have some of them get dirt and mix it with water and eat dirt. Dirt. To just fill their stomachs. To kill the hunger. But he's going to bring them through this. He's going to bring them through this thing, and he's going to bring them through with a famine, and he's going to take out a third part of them on that famine. But he ain't done yet. A third part shall fall by the sword around about thee. And now you're getting caught up. He is going to consume a lot of us by these doctrines that's out there. That's why he said, you got an idle shepherd? Okay, you're going to get caught up. I promise you that. Because he said you withdraw yourself from those kind of type of people. You got people actually, even in our classes, where I had to write some letters for them to disconnect themselves from those churches. If you stay connected to the church, you can sit there and you can sit under here all day long learning. When you go, you going where that church go. Because you chose not to stay. You chose to stay connected to that church. See what that's called is fence riders. That's what that's really called. You're a fence rider. You're lukewarm. You're neither hot or cold. You're lukewarm. You're a fence rider. So he's going to spew you out because you feel, if I disconnect from this church, then I have no more dealings with this church, and then then they don't want me anymore, and I'm be feeling bad. Okay, so then you sit there and say, well, if I do, I need to find a way. Well, I'm going to tell you what, better yet, I just ride the fence and learn the truth. You lukewarm. He's going to spew you out. He's going to spew you out based on that doctrine. That's why he says, with the sword round about, he said, watch this, including I will scatter a third part into all the winds, all the spirits, and will draw out a sword after them. That's why he's saying that. Oh, he's going to get you. You ain't getting around him. Let's look at something. I'm going to see this all up close. We're going to look at Deuteronomy, and we're going to pick it up at chapter 8. Picking it up at verse 2. It says, all the commandments which I command thee this day shall ye observe to do. that ye may live, including multiply, and go and possess the land which the Spirit of God has sworn to your fathers. So where I send you, you stay put. You do what you're supposed to do. You plant gardens, have children, that it may be well with you there, until I come get you. But he says a little bit more here. Because he put us there. He scattered us here for a reason. He said, "Thou shalt remember all the way which the Spirit of thy God has led thee these 40 years in the wilderness." Why? To humble thee. That's why he set us in the wilderness. That's why we're here. We're here to humble us, including to prove thee. So now he's going to prove you to see what you're all about. And many people is failing the test. To know what was in thy heart, whether thou was keeping the commandments or no. You tell me, do you have a problem? You tell me, do you have a problem? Because this is the problem that we have. And this is the thing. It says, now, if the fall of them be the riches of the world, and the diminishing of them the riches of the Gentiles, how much more are their fullness? He caught you right up again. You thought you was out of it, and you get caught up again. You literally thought you was out of it, and he got you again, diminishing them the riches of the Gentiles. He caught you. You think we're getting out of this? And he's not playing with us. So Paul is breaking all this down to where we can get it. He tells you this. Watch this. I want to show you something. I want to show you something that's really peculiar here, where people sit there and talk about. It says, "For I speak to you Gentiles, who is acting like Israelites, but you're acting like Gentiles, as much as I am an apostle of the Gentiles." So he's telling, I'm an apostle of the Gentiles. I'm a messenger. But watch what he says here. I magnify my office. No, Christ didn't make me one. I did this. And you see everybody talk all through that. Oh no, Apostle Paul. Just shows you how ignorant, dumb dogs they are. How ignorant and dumb dogs they are. Paul telling you right up front, he did it. Paul's telling you right up front, he did that. See, the apostle was appointed by Christ. Name, function, messenger, what he made Paul. Meaning the same, but when he was appointed, he appointed 12. After all that appointments, he was sitting there and he told Paul, I'm going to make you a messenger. Paul sat there, and Paul knows what's going on. Paul's, shoes, I'm a messenger just like them, meaning the same thing. Well, shoes, I'm going to get out there. Hey, I'm an apostle. Hey, okay. I magnify my office. Lord just had to wait. Probably laughed at him. This man, he got to be, because he been checking some of these other boys, so he just probably laughed at him. Just probably laughed at Paul. Is Paul a messenger? 100%. He says, by any means, and if by any means I may provoke to emulation, 1 second, let me get this highlighted. emulation. Ooh, that's a little tongue twister. Them that are my flesh, and might save some of them. Might save some of them through emulation. And emulation is telling you to provoke them. I may provoke to jealousy them, which are in my flesh. That's all he's saying. And he's telling you why he want to do that, because of the mind that they have. Meaning this. He'll go right back to 9 in verse 3. He said, for I could wish myself were accursed from Christ for my brother, my kinsman according to the flesh. Why? Because through emulation, he didn't want to do some of these things. So what we're going to do, we're going to get ready to put some of these precepts in there. And then as normal, we'll go to the back and take any questions that somebody may have. So we need each and every person to get out their notes or whatever you're taking it on, or if you're taking it on the if you're taking these notes down on the Romans here, you can start doing this. So we're gonna put in some of these here. 69. So, and most times I stop talking because I'm not as good as talking type person. So excuse me while I'm just doing this to where we can put these in. And do this the exact way that I'm showing you here. Actually, we can do this one here. And then do 40. Then do 39. And keep it that way. Make sure you don't change that up, because it's a certain way that it runs. You go here, and we got that one 13. Ephesians 4:18, and Jeremiah 2 and 13, and we save that, and we're gonna go down to 10. We got Zechariah, (17), 2 Thessalonians. Yeah, that's right. 2:4. Just trying to make sure my spelling's right on here. And 18:12. 15:4, and we gotta go through Ezekiel 34, 2 through 12. No, I did 2 through 13, 2 through 12, and we got Matthew 25. 26 through 30, 1 Timothy 6, 4 through 5. We have Proverbs 21:19, Luke 15, 18. Matthew 20 and 2. And 20 and 2. We also have 10, 6 and 7. We have Ezekiel 16, 24 through 25. Mark 2, 17. And Luke 11, 11. 1 Corinthians 12 and 2. Uh-oh. Sorry about that, you guys. This goes down. That goes down here. I'm sorry. That's the correct one. That's 11. In Deuteronomy 32:21. In Jeremiah 9:16. As well as 29, 5 and 6. Ezekiel 5 and 12. And we're going to go down to Deuteronomy 8, 2 and 3. And we're going to go down to 12. And actually we don't have anything there. We have it on 13. We have 1 Corinthians 12 and 2. And we go through 14. And we have Romans, the reference, Romans 9 and 3. Make sure you save it. Make sure you save it. Make sure you save it, and save it. So what we're going to do, as I said before, Deacon Micah, he has a teaching coming up. As we said, this afternoon for myself at 3 o'clock, but for Central Time it'll be 5 o'clock, and for Eastern Time it'll be 6 o'clock that he will be doing the teaching. Did your pastor lie to you about tithes? And you can catch him over there on OKC, King James Bible University. Again, that's OKC, King James Bible University, and that is ran under Deacon Micah. So as I said, as before, you can look down into the description and you can see the live meeting to where we'll take on any questions that you may have pertaining to this lesson here. That way you can click on it, you can come right to the back, and you'll be more than happy to take on your question. So just look at the bottom. If you don't have Zoom, make sure you have the Zoom app to where you can click on it and it'll open up and you can see it. So with that, we say to each and every person, so as always, we actually counseling the kids class for tomorrow for a project that the everybody else has to do for the Proverbs class. So we're going to counsel that class for tomorrow, but we're going to pick that back up. So what we're going to do, we're going to sign off here and go in the back and take on any questions that anyone may have. You can click on bottom, you'll see it says live meeting. There, it's the link right there. You can click on that and you can go in the back and we will answer any question that you may have. So with that, I say to each and every person, I appreciate you. And until next time, I say to everyone, Shalom.